We have had a tough go, and you know what? We had a little friend in Pennsylvania today, a groundhog that said 6 more weeks of winter. I'd like one.
Send it this way.
Phil, we got to talk here. This is what it looked like from the sun setting in Park City today on your Groundhog Day. Now listen, I'm not going to tell you to listen to a groundhog when it comes to the forecast. I'm going to tell you to listen to a meteorologist. And I love animals and I love groundhogs. But Phil's stats, well, they're not so great. He's only been correct 35% of the time in the last 20 years. Saw a shadow today, said 6 more weeks of winter. I mean, he's got to be talking about Pennsylvania, right? You know, there are a lot of groundhogs out there that come out and predict. And we took a look from the National Weather Service, the most reliable ones. Staten Island Chuck at 85%. Just want to note, I was born in Staten Island. You don't need Chuck. You've got me. Let's talk, because we need a pattern change, and we're not going to get it this week. I'm going to show you the reason why, but we do see change in the future. Cache Valley showing a beautiful sunset as we mixed out any inversion thanks to a passing weak system here. High pressure over to our west, northwest flow brought in just a little bit of cloud cover to the northern edge of the state. Inversion conditions, while we're clean tonight, which we love to see, we do know that they'll build back fairly quickly. Forecasting moderate air along the Wasatch Front in Cache Valley, Box Elder County, and Tooele County. So the usual suspects could start to see that haze again because of the high I just showed you. Cleaner air on the eastern side of the state and then down in southern Utah, which tracks. We know that at night, though, Iron County, which currently has some elevated particulate matter, will sometimes mix into the moderate category. Black Desert Sky Cam shows that 70-degree day in Ivins with clear skies and above average warmth usually this time of year. Mid to upper 50s for those highs in St. George, and we were flirting with 70 degrees today. We could see our first 70-degree reading in the state this year, this week. My goodness, that doesn't feel like February. 52 in Salt Lake, more than 10 degrees above average for this time of year in the state's capital. Looking at those numbers, we'll stay in the 30s. Mostly clear skies for the overnight. A little milder. You remember those frigid starts the last couple of weeks. Well, we're going to see the freezing point, but it'll take some time to get there. Now, we talked about snowpack, and yes, it is brutal. Only 56% of average with a lot of red on this map. That snow water equivalent comes in clutch. But the longer we have this high pressure and control with the warmth, we threaten that precious resource, and we don't really need to. We're not in the position to with only 5.1 inches of SWE. The reason we're not going to see moisture this week, well, the high, but you've heard me say that before. What's interesting is below the high, we have a low. It's pretty far south, but you're going to see that warmth in the west and that colder, wintry weather back east. Here's what happens when you get a high stacked on top of a low. This is a common blocking pattern. It's called a Rex block, and the circulation around these systems actually prevents the westerly movement of storms from west to east. So we get this really slow movement, actually, and we stay very warm and dry, warm for this time of year, underneath the high, and it stays stormy underneath the low. We've got to break the block, and we will, but we don't do it this week because as you look at the future cast, we just have very quiet conditions, not even much in the way of cloud cover with the high. We start to change that Friday with a system from the south. Southerly flow will bring in more clouds, but not moisture just yet. Here's where it looks to change. There's the trough from today. Our ridge of high pressure sets up. It's going to move inland, and by Thursday, it's going to amplify as it moves over the Beehive State. Then we start to see the clouds coming in from the south. But behind that, we're a bit unsettled because here comes a storm. This is a long wave trough, and it's actually going to bring some unsettled conditions, and possibly the models are starting to align with some wet weather. Cooler air moves in with that as well. Okay, could this be the shift? Well, our 8 to 14-day outlook does bring wetter conditions to the west, and that includes the Beehive State. That would be a win, my friends, and we would desperately take a win, especially with record low snowpack. 40s and 50s for tomorrow, above average yet again. 40s and 50s on the eastern side of the state, upper 60s in St. George, Washington County. Going to get a 70-degree day this week. I know. I really think it's possible. Could be sooner than you think. Dry for the next 7. Here is the Wasatch Front, where you're going to notice those numbers in the 50s, staying above average here For the next 6 days, we do have a slight chance that we get an isolated shower on Monday. That would be the beginning of the pattern shift as we drop back into the 40s. Here's hoping, but that's still a week away. We're going to be heading towards mid-February by the time wintry weather moves in.